good afternoon. Happy Monday. Be Tuesday, I guess, when this goes up. It's a holiday week. We have Thanksgiving this week, and I hope that you are having the opportunity to spend some time with your friends or family. And safe travels to everybody if you're traveling. I will be driving about 5 hours to my family's Thanksgiving, to my parents' house, and looking forward to it, hoping to have a good time and visit with everybody. Today I would like to talk about sharing your testimony. I know a lot of people are nervous about it, get anxious about sharing their testimony. Some people tell their testimony all the time and are comfortable with it. But I was asked to share my testimony a few months ago at church, and I actually recorded it and posted it here last week. So if you didn't watch that, you might want to go back and watch it. But when I was deciding what to say and how to share my testimony, a lot of time I spent thinking, what do I tell? What do I not focus on? What's important? What is the most important part of sharing your testimony? And what are the things that might help people associate with me or might minister to people? So I just spent a lot of time thinking about what to say and how to say it. So I've made some notes that I want to share with you, just give you some ideas and some things to think about, pray about, because we all are going to be asked to share our testimony, whether it's a one-on-one situation or speaking to a group. We should always be prepared to share our testimony and to stand up and be able to speak on what Christ has done in our life. So, the first thing that I thought about is, what's the purpose? What is it that I need to accomplish, or what are we called to do by sharing our testimony? And to me, it just is very obvious that you want to shine a light on Christ and the change that He's made in your life. And you want to lead other people to lean on Christ or to find Christ if they don't know Him already. I think a lot of times your testimony can be an encouragement to a fellow believer. Maybe they're going through a rough time, or maybe they're experiencing something similar as to what you've been through. And it's really good to be in a place where you can help them with that and let them know that there's an end in sight to what they're going through, and that Christ can be there to comfort them and lead them while they're going through it. But mostly, I do believe that the purpose of a testimony is to shine light on Christ. So, something that I have learned in preparing for sharing my testimony this time, and I have shared my salvation experience and my testimony of growing up in church and things like that before, but I had never shared anything quite as personal as my testimony about being childless. So one of the things I think that I learned in preparing for that was that you need to always be prepared to tell your story. You need to think about the things that will speak most to someone. You need to think about ways to bring Christ into the situation, into your story, to give Him credit for getting you through it and helping you to deal with it. Because we all are going to tell our testimony at one time in our day-to-day life. If a friend is going through a situation similar, or if we are approached to speak to a group. I just think that it's very important to pray and ask God to give you direction in what you need to share and the amount of information that you want to share about your past. There will be times that you'll be prompted to share details that you might not always share. But I think it's just very important that we think about how we're sharing our past and the life that we lived before. If we lived a worldly life, or if we are a Christian but lived in sin and darkness for a while and then came back to Christ. I think that things can happen when you share too many details. I think, for one thing, we tend to take pride or brag on things in our life, and sometimes I think it might come across like, oh, I was so bad, blah, blah, blah. And I actually was at a Sunday school party at a couple's home many years ago, and two of the husbands kind of got into this thing they were trying to outdo each other at which one of them had been the worst, or which of them had drank the most and the dumbest things they did when they were drinking. And it just didn't sit right in my spirit to hear them going back and forth comparing stories. It really wasn't any different than it would be sitting anywhere with people that weren't believers, that were just, trying to outdo each other on their bad behavior. So I just think it's very important how we share and what we share. And I think sometimes if you share something that you're going through, there might be somebody, if you go into detail, that is kind of teetering on the fence about whether, maybe they have temptations in that area, and they're trying to rationalize following that urge or that behavior. And I think sometimes we can say something that may appear to be glamorous to them, or, might make them think, well, if they did that and now they're in church, it can't be that bad. And I just think we just need to be very careful on how we share. And as I said before, I do believe that there are certain situations where God will prompt you to share more or different details if you're dealing with a one-on-one person that has a very specific issue and you know something about it. Or maybe if like you have had problems with drugs, and like a sinner asks you to come speak to them, and you will be talking to people that all have come from the same background. I can see where there might be a benefit to share more there, just so they can understand that you were in the same situation, and then what you've been able to come out of with Christ's help. And I just think, especially as time goes by and you're walking your life as a Christian, I think the longer it's been since you came out of something, and I do even think, as soon as 6 months or a year after you've come out of something, when you share your testimony, I think as time goes by, it should be less and less about your life that you lived before. And it should be more and more about what Christ has done for you, how Christ helped you get out of this situation, and what drew you back to Him, or to Him to start with. And just the growth that you've had in your relationship with Him. Because ultimately, we don't want to focus on Satan and the things that you had in your life when you were living in the dark, or, living more as Satan would like you to live. But our focus always wants to be to shine a light on Christ and to talk about what He's done and what an amazing God He is and how awesome He is, and things that He's done in your life, provided for you and led you in certain ways. So I just want to again wish you all a happy Thanksgiving, happy travels. I hope you have a really wonderful holiday, and I would like to leave you with thoughts on sharing your testimony. Just 4 simple points. Be prepared, ask for wisdom, yield to the Spirit, and speak when prompted. I just pray that you will think about your testimony and what to share, and that you will see God's wisdom in doing that. I'll talk to you soon. Have a great week. Bye.